if you look at wealthy people, like ultra high net worth people, it's like 85% alternatives, 15% in the stock market. That's the ultra high net worth people. They only have 10 to 20% of their investable assets in the stock market. Then you look at people who are below $1 million of investable assets, they're the exact opposite. They're like 80% in the stock market and 20% in alternatives, and it flips. And so if you look at that, well, what are the wealthy doing? Where are they allocating their money? They're not putting it in the stock market.
For those willing to put in the work to control their financial future and earn better results, you'll sincerely enjoy this conversation. Today, I spoke with Mathew Sorensen, a wealth lawyer and CEO of Directed IRA, the fastest growing self-directed IRA provider with over 20,000 clients and over $2 billion in assets. Matt is also a co-managing partner of KKOS Lawyers, a business and tax law firm, best-selling author of the Self-Directed IRA Handbook, and the foremost authority on using IRAs and 401ks to invest in real estate and alternative assets. A contrarian at heart, Matt loves to explore, serve with excellence, and work hard. I'm finding a common theme in my network: the affinity for the hustle, hard work, being hands-on, but all in the service of their time, goals, and their freedom. Today's guest is no different. Expect to hear why Matt became a lawyer and entrepreneur. Is there more than one way to build wealth? The early beginnings of Directed IRA, what the ultra-wealthy are doing with their money, highlights of the recent Alternative Asset Summit hosted by Directed IRA, and KKOS Lawyers and how they serve clients, and much more. Please welcome Mr. Mathew Sorensen. Hey, Matt, it's great to have you back here today and pick up on the conversations that you and I have been able to have in recent months, as we've both talked a lot about what we love, and that is, how we can build wealth and what does that mean to us. And one of the things that I noticed, in part of your bio is that you consider yourself a wealth lawyer. Now,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're not talking about you're wealthy, although I think you probably are in whatever terms, but that's not what you're about. Talk to me about what it means to be a wealth lawyer.
Yeah. Well, I think the wealth lawyer component of that, why I use that label, is I'm an attorney, business and tax lawyer, but I also got down this path of using retirement accounts. How do we optimize those and grow those, invest them in things that we know and love, which I want to talk about today too. So I really felt like I sat at the cross section of a lot of entrepreneurs and clients, small business owners. Really, when you boiled it down, they didn't care about taxes. They didn't care about estate planning. They cared about them. But at the end of the day, it was like, I want to build wealth. That's what they were trying to do. And we're giving them tax strategies. We're giving them asset protection strategies. We're talking about their estate plan and how are they going to leave a legacy. We're talking about how do we optimize your retirement accounts and a tax advantage accounts. And so really it kind of boiled around advising clients on how to grow and build and maintain wealth.
How would you define wealth? What is your definition? I know it's going to be different for different people. And I'm sure as you work with clients, they come to you and I don't think people come to you and say, well, I want to be wealthy, but I think we both would recognize that making money, creating money, which can turn into wealth by saving it, investing it, that's a skill set. I mean, many of us, we go to school, we have an education, we have a background, we trade time for dollars, at a high level in many cases. The skill set to make money, create wealth, but there's a whole nother skill set, or really a discipline, I think, in terms of maintaining and preserving that wealth. And so I know that's parcel of the conversations you have. Dig into that a little bit, if you would. I think that's an interesting topic to kind of uncover.
Yeah. Well, when I think of wealth, I know some people think of wealth as like, this could be your health or this could be relationship. I just think financial. Okay. Not because that's what I'm all about. I want to have great relationships and have meaningful impact in my community and those around me and all that. But a lot of people, in order to do the things they want to do, accomplish the goals that they have, the freedoms they want to enjoy, they need to realize some level of wealth. However, wealth is not the same for everyone, and how you're going to obtain it is not the same. And I have like 8 different profiles of wealth when I talk to someone of like, well, what's your wealth profile? A lot of people, it kind of annoys me. They're like, well, you just need to be a business owner. Well, no, you don't. Well, you need to invest in real estate. No, you don't. Or you need to go be a doctor. You need to be a lawyer, and they just say, this is the thing. Well, that's a thing. There's different ways you can go and obtain wealth. You can do the Dave Ramsey method. That is a tried and true way.
Yep.
super conservative, be on a strict budget, save. You don't have to have a high income, but there is an attainable way to build wealth. On the other end of the spectrum, yes, you can start a very successful business that can have tens, hundreds of millions of revenue and profits, and you have an uncapped ceiling, but it's also very few are going to hit that. The percentage of businesses that get to over 10 million of revenue is 4%. And that's over a long period of time. And so it's very rare that you're going to hit that side. And in between it, there's lots of different ways people can grow and build wealth, from the millionaire next door to the real estate investor to the professional, whether it's a lawyer, doctor, dentist, whatever it may be. I think there's different profiles, but we all need the same tools. We all want to save on taxes. That's the number one expense of anyone with success and making money, whether you're self-employed or not. The retirement accounts, there's $40 trillion in US retirement accounts. It's been a haven for people in the US and a great place to go save and build and grow wealth for the long term that people are relying on to have a retirement they're looking forward to. And so a lot of these different tools that are out there is we're just trying to help people understand the tools they need to use as they're trying to grow and build wealth.
Matt, you've always been entrepreneurial. You went through the process, the kind of formal education to get the license, the degree to practice law. I would say you in your sector, you're entrepreneurial. And I mean that in a complimentary way. There's nothing wrong with people who kind of do a stable practice in some aspect of law. We need all those kind of people. But
Yeah.
as you've been very entrepreneurial in your mindset and building businesses and helping other people create wealth, as you've talked about, what would you say that drove you in that direction versus just having a good kind of a practice? You're in different areas. What drove you? Was it something in your environment when you grew up? Was it parents? Was there a mentor? Was there a shining light moment where you had an aha? I'm always curious in the backstory is what makes people who they are today.
So my story, I was a teen dad. So I got my high school girlfriend pregnant, and I was a dad at age 18. Graduate from high school in May, get married in June, 18 years old. My oldest daughter, who's 26 now. So I had to grow up fast, and my family was super embarrassed about it. There's a lot of shame in it, and they're like, "You're on your own. You're a big kid now." When I was 18, so I had to grow up pretty fast. I always, before this, wanted to be a business owner and entrepreneur. I don't know why. I just like the ability to kind of go your own way and do your own thing. And I was willing to do the hard work. I wasn't naive about it, even as a teenager. The problem is I was like, I need a real job and I got to take care of a family and kids. And I'm already starting at 18. And so what was the fastest pathway for me? It was to go be a lawyer. So I worked my way through undergraduate. I did my undergraduate degree in 3 years. I worked full time. I went to law school, did that in 3 years, which is the regular time, worked through it as well. Because I needed a job. So I was like always kind of hustling, but I didn't really have like the country club, friends, or I didn't have like a lot of wealthy friends. I grew up pretty middle class. And so I was like, well, how am I going to connect with people? I realized that connections and who you know and your network has a significant impact on that. And I was like, I'm going to go be a lawyer because that's going to connect me to people. I'm going to learn what people do and how they're making money. And that's really what played out for me is then I got into private practice and started working with my law firm partner, Mark Kohler, and we built a 60-person law firm. We're in 4 states representing clients around the country, but we're talking to small business owners, entrepreneurs every day. And they're doing lots of different things. It's just very interesting to me. I learned a lot from them in their problems and issues they're facing, their successes that they had, talking to a client doing their estate plan when they're 60 and hearing their story about how they built this wealth. Just a lot of great opportunities there. You're just at the crux of a lot of information and insights and relationships with good people. So that's where it just kind of blossomed. And then we've grown. I've got other different companies, of course, started Directed Trust Company, Directed IRA, that's number 383, I think, on the Inc. 5000, 1,187% growth rate in the last 3 years. We have 2.5 billion in assets, 19, almost 20,000 accounts. Yeah, we're growing quickly and doing it well in an area that I love serving clients and customers too. But a very successful business and growing quickly. But that's the story for me, and I guess, and in some ways it was intentional that I wanted to have my own business and be an entrepreneur and go my own way, quote unquote. It's a great Fleetwood Mac song, by the way. But but I didn't know how it would go. I didn't know that I'd stumble into self-directed IRAs as a lawyer, which is what I did.
If you're interested in learning how to invest safely and profitably during any economy, any market cycle, whether it's up, down, good or bad, then just download my free report, the Full Cycle Investing Report, below. There's been a lot of half cycle investors who have profited immensely, made great gains in the last 15 years during the bull market we've had. However, the markets are changing. They always do. There's going to be a day of reckoning. You can either be prepared, take advantage of the opportunities and protect your wealth, or put your head in the sand and do like so many other people, wonder what happened. If you'd like to be on the front edge of the things that are coming in the future, just download my free report, the Full Cycle Investing Report, in the description below. You mentioned Directed IRA, a trust company that you and Mark Kohler, I think, was it 2017?
2018, end of 2018.
So 6 years ago. And obviously you talked earlier about retirement accounts and how important it was to utilize those in the right way. When did you discover the ability to self-direct? Because I'm sure you were doing it before you started Directed IRA. So where did that hit you? How far back?
Yeah, I had my first client that wanted to buy real estate with their IRA in 2006. And I was like, what is this guy talking about? Yeah. I'm like, you can't do that. And Mark, my law firm partner, at the time, he had done he'd had maybe 10 or 20 clients do it. And he'd heard of a couple companies that did it. And he's like, no, you can do that. You can do that. But I was just blown away at the idea you could do that. And I thought, this is a very cool strategy. Why don't people know about this? Once I started helping a few clients, I realized no one's good at this actually as a professional advisor, lawyer, CPA, financial advisor. There was nobody really great at it. No one had written a book about it. There are some trust companies and banks offering the accounts. And so I decided I'm going to be the number one expert in that field. My idea at the time was I'm going to write the number one book, which is what I did. And that's the Self-Directed IRA Handbook. It sold 60,000 copies now. The National Association of my industry uses it for certification training, credentials in the self-directed IRA space. Government regulators buy and use my book. Most of my competitors use it to train their employees. Yeah. So it became like kind of the Bible in the industry, which I'm proud of. But the writing the book was because I did the 10,000 consults. So once I started helping a few clients buy real estate with their IRA, then that started blossoming to thousands of clients that I'd helped, and investing in startups or doing an oil and gas deal or investing in crypto or investing in a small business or pre-IPO stock or a private fund. And I started getting in and learning all this stuff, which is fascinating to me, actually. It was very just interesting because I loved all those different asset classes and learning about them. So yeah, that was my thing. I just became the guy on self-directed IRAs, and we built a team in our law firm around it that helped clients do that. And then I just realized, all these companies I'm sending my clients to go to their IRA accounts aren't that great. And that's a great business though. I should go do that business rather than being a lawyer billing hours all day long. So that's the kind of the genesis of where it came to Directed IRA that we started, like you mentioned, at the end of 2018, was really out of a need I didn't think the current providers offering self-directed accounts were very good. They weren't good enough for what I thought for my clients.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I've been involved in self-direction myself for going back probably about the same time that you're talking about, the early 2000s, and the experience is catch as catch can. It's sometimes so, but it seems to be has been a difficult code to crack for a lot of companies that I guess have great intentions and they certainly want to create a business. But I'll just speak on behalf of my experience and the members of my community of Freedom Founders have really enjoyed the high level of customer service that they have received. And I think that's the earmark of any good company. Yes, you can have all the great education and all the whiz bang, we can do this, but if you don't have someone there that could actually grease the wheels, because there's some level of work on behalf of the individual investor who wants to self-direct. That's what it's about, right? It's not just putting your money in public stocks, which certainly has a place, public markets. This is what we're talking about here. And you mentioned a number of the alternative assets, starting with real estate, which is probably the gorilla, but there's all these other alternative assets that you mentioned too, oil and gas and crypto and commodities and metals and just a lot of different aspects that people can invest in. And that's what self-direction is about. Let's talk a little bit about this direction that we're seeing, the trend of those who are becoming awakened to alternative assets just as a class by itself, but also because it can be utilized within the retirement accounts and have the tax benefits there as well. What are you seeing in the trends? When did people really start to look at alternatives, and who is looking at alternatives from your standpoint?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting because there's two different things happening at once that are great for our business and for our clients and customers. One is there's $40 trillion in US retirement accounts. And about every 10 years, that number doubles. It's insane, right? I remember when I got in this space, it was like 8 trillion and it's now $40 trillion. So it's a significant number. And that's where a lot of Americans just have their investable assets and they continue to put more and more money in them. And the largest bucket of that 40 trillion, a lot of people think is 401ks. It's not. It's actually IRAs. There's more money in IRAs than there is in 401ks now because a lot of people roll over prior employer job, the baby boomers, they've built a lot significant retirement accounts. So most of it's sitting in IRAs. So that's big because that's where most Americans have a lot of investable cash. That's one trend that I think is important. That could be for a lot of people listening right now. It's just like, yeah, I got quite a bit of money I've stocked away in my retirement account. The other trend is just alternatives in general. And we had you at our Alternative Asset Summit, did an incredible job. And as you know, one of the things I talked about there is if you look at wealthy people, like ultra high net worth people, how much of their investments do they have in the stock market, public equities, versus quote unquote alternative assets like real estate, private equity, small business, oil and gas, like that type of stuff? It's like 85% alternatives, 15% in the stock market. And if you look at that's the ultra high net worth people, they only have like 10 to 20% of their investable assets in the stock market. Then you look at people who are below $1 million of investable assets, they're the exact opposite. They're like 80% in the stock market and 20% in alternatives, and it flips. And so if you look at that, well, what are the wealthy doing? Where are they allocating their money? They're not putting it in the stock market. Maybe that's how they became wealthy. Maybe they know something that the rest of us don't. But that's something I've seen is a lot of our wealthier clients, this is even as a lawyer, and then as I got into retirement accounts, is they liked these other alternative assets. They liked betting on things, and betting maybe not the best word, but they liked investing on things that they felt could have a better return than just what the stock market's going to perform. So those are just the two big trends. Alternative assets, particularly with the wealthy, and I think the mass affluent too are getting way more into alternative assets. We're seeing that. And then retirement accounts in general continue to be a tried and true place where there's now $40 trillion to be invested, and it doesn't have to buy a stock or a mutual fund.
I think those stats are very interesting. As you said, do they invest in alternatives because that's kind of how they got wealthy? I think there's a tendency for that to be the case. I mean, let's just take yourself is, coming out of school, with a tried and true profession, which is supposed to be safe and provide for the opportunity to trade private dollars, which it just does, as long as you're willing to get in the work. Yeah. But everybody that I know, and I think that that has created wealth, you have to have the ability to have different buckets of assets or create those multiple streams. You might have a primary source, right? But it's like, what else can I invest in that I can study, I can see, I can feel, the tangible, the hard asset, which is what we're talking about, alternative assets. There's just something there that I think just inures to people that like to create wealth, and they can see it better there. Again, not that people can't make money and earn wealth and create wealth in the public markets. You can, just like you said, there's different pathways. But I think there's something about, we just want to be a little bit more involved. Even today, for me, as a more passive investor, went from active early, as we typically do, and then to more passive. I still like to be involved and have what I feel like is a closer proximity to my money. Even if I'm not actually the operator anymore, I want to at least know, can I talk to that operator? Can I kind of get inside their world and what's their culture? And can I have them on my phone and speed dial? I mean, I like that aspect. Now, it takes some work and effort to do that, doesn't it, Matt? It's not as easy as just you're putting your money in the market or giving it to a money manager and say, here, go do it for me. It does take work and effort. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of a good client is to self-direct, like through Directed. What are some of the characteristics that you find that makes them a good client for what you help them do?
What you just said is what I say a lot, actually, and that's how I feel. I like to be connected to my money and know what it's invested in. Typing in a ticker symbol in a brokerage account to go buy something is not that exciting for me. No. It's easy, but it's not that exciting for me. It's not that rewarding. You want to be at the top of the mountain. I want to climb the mountain. I want to be involved and have the satisfaction of what I've done. With these alternative assets, whether it's a real estate deal or a small business deal, or you're investing in a private fund where there is an operator, there's a lot riding on you to kind of understand those investments, find those opportunities, negotiate them. Sometimes they're negotiable, sometimes they're not. Vet that operator, have those conversations. But that's also where the reward comes. From my experience, a lot of my best investments have just come through people I know, and having a good network of people and having the right conversations with them, understanding what they're doing, and then making a decision. That's something I want to invest in. And I like that. And I think that the people that like that and that connection to their money, betting on themselves, so to speak, are perfect for self-directing. A lot of our customers are entrepreneurs or business owners. They're just naturally inclined for that anyways. They take a little bit of risks. They bet on themselves. They're a little bit of control freaks. They like to have control,
That's right.
They don't want an advisor telling them to buy some mutual fund. They're like, I could do something better. We have a lot of clients that are just real estate investors or in the real estate industry. They already know real estate. I already do real estate personally, or I'm a real estate broker, might be a contractor. Why am I going to buy mutual funds with my retirement account or stocks I know nothing about? Why don't I invest in the stuff I know and I have a network in? And real estate's been one of the things that, made more millionaires than anything. So we get that crowd, of course, too. Definitely the common theme amongst our customers is they like taking control. And that's our kind of one of our mottos is take control of your retirement. They really like taking control, betting on themselves, and being connected to the investments and the dollars that they're using.
One of the insights or takeaways that I got being at Directed IRA's last conference in Phoenix a month or so ago, a number of things. I was just writing some notes down as we're speaking, and I was thinking through it. Number one is everybody who invests in alternatives. I think the characteristics that we have is we're a little bit contrarian. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yeah,
We're a different crowd, and it's hard to be different if you can't find other people that are like you. So one thing I enjoyed being there, as I know you know, is the community aspect. You've got people from all across the country, across the world, to be with people like themselves, and they can see people at different points in their life. As you said, you can talk to older gray-haired people like me and say, well, what did you do over the years? What mistakes did you make? And I think you get there's a lot of energy in that connection. So you get the community, you get the network, which means like the access. So like for me, yeah, I've been real estate really heavy all my life. But you know what? There's all these other alternatives. And as I get a chance to meet and hear from other people who are more ingrained in those, and I can learn and say, well, maybe there's another place for me to go. It's still in alternatives, which I haven't looked at before because I didn't really have the connection. Now I've got a chance to have a connection there, right? The education. So you're providing education to your clients,
Mm-hmm.
which we all need that, more education. And then I would say the platform, because now to self-direct, we've got to have a platform that the custodian that helps us do it, because there are rules, there's compliance, and that's what you got to have there on your hand. And then there's, and this is not what you do, but the individual investor has got to learn something about underwriting or their own due diligence. You talk about it, but I mean, you don't do that for your clients. You just say, wait, we're a custodian. We provide you access, network, education, the platform. You've got to use your own discernment, or the people you've got around you, to actually make your own decisions. I know that's what you would want to say, because you're not an advisor.
Right. Yeah. And I think in a lot of ways, the customers that come here, they want to be the one making the decision, and we want them to. You're taking control of your retirement. Our job is not to decide what to invest in. But if all those little components that you mentioned there, from getting a network, understanding the different investment opportunities, understanding how to analyze them, getting educated on them, making good informed decisions, picking the right operators versus the average operators, and that's the thing with, investing in alts is like, you can pick a bad stock, an okay stock, a great stock. It's the same thing. It's just knowing how to analyze that differently. And so that's one reason why I love the Alt Asset Summit that we did, is we bring in people that have different expertises like yourself in different asset classes and different ways of investing to kind of educate people. So we have someone that spoke on venture capital investing and startups, totally different mindset than someone doing real estate, right? Real estate is like, as long as I don't over leverage it with debt, I'm going to make money, right? The only way you lose money in real estate is if you get over leveraged with debt. Venture capital, though, and startups, what Chris Lustrano talked about at the conference is like, 1 out of 10 of those is going to succeed. 9 of them will lose money. You have a 90% rate of failure, but you're betting on that one to drive a 1,000% return and have this be a significant company of substance that makes up for the losers. But if you don't know that, you can make a lot of bad decisions in venture. And you got private equity, oil and gas, and they all got their own little things and benefits, different risk tolerances, different tax benefits and incentives too. So it's fascinating to me. Frankly, I kind of build the conference around who are the kind of people I want to hear from and learn from myself. Because I'm doing this too. Like I invest in alternatives myself with my own retirement account. And a lot of the people that were there, I've done deals with them. I've invested in their multifamily deal. I invested in their private equity fund for a startup airline. I've invested in some venture deals. So those are a lot of the people that I'm like, I want them to come and teach everyone else these different asset classes. And everybody's different on what they like and kind of sometimes their background too. I speak at a group called Tech Coast Angels, another one, Meta Ventures. And one of them is mostly physicians, Meta Angels, that are investing in like mostly healthcare type businesses, right? But they know them because they're in that business. And you got Tech Coast Angels, it's a lot of tech people, right? Because they know tech. So, with all those different things, I think are what fascinates me. They're different asset classes, the different things you can learn, and the people you can go network. And that's why I love the conference. But one question I get quite a bit here is people say, well, what should I invest in, Matt, then? You'd be surprised if you looked at the largest accounts at Directed IRA, they are all doing different things. They're investing in different things. They're just good at that thing that they're investing in.
Let's finish up, and I wanted to give you a chance to make a plug because I think it's a very valid plug for the law firm KKOS, which
Yeah.
where I see it now, although that's where you guys started, you and Mark Kohler, your partner, and then added, Directed IRA after the fact. But I see it kind of like the law firm's a bolt on. That's how I see it, kind of a bolt on, because you've got all these clients that are coming in wanting to build their wealth and do a lot of self direction. But there's a lot of other needs. They're business owners. There's estate planning, generational wealth planning. There's business aspects, and you guys, because again, that's your world. You've created, a firm that also provides these ancillary services at lots of different levels. You want to just give a little bit of a expose on what that looks like for people that might be interested also in connecting with you in that aspect.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So our law firm is KKOS Lawyers. We have offices in Phoenix, Utah, Idaho, California, representing clients across the country, though. And we really specialize in entrepreneurs, real estate investors. That's our core clientele. We kind of focus and approach people from a tax aspect. We do a comprehensive tax and business consult for our client, 50 plus point checklist, review your tax return, try to understand your structure. If you're a business owner in particular having success, your number one cost and drain is taxes. Now we want to look at how do we protect your assets too. So we want to minimize taxes, maximize asset protection. We'll get into a lot of stuff from whether it's your real estate transactions. Do I have the right asset protection there? Am I taking the right write-offs? There's so many different strategies there, from short-term rental strategies, long-term rentals, right? What are the right entity structures I'm using? We see those messed up so much. There's so much bad information about the entity structuring they're using. So we're always looking at that. Yeah, we're definitely helping clients across the country, and we want to be a resource for anybody that needs that. I'll just say this is like go time for us, really, because we're tax lawyers at heart. Is if it's the end of the year right now, at least while we're recording this is when tax planning happens. It's not on April 15th. It's what you do before December 31st that's going to matter on your 2024 tax return. So super busy time for us right now. One thing I've learned though, and this is just from doing it for a long time, is some people that are having a lot of success, they're making money, they're reinvesting their time back in their business to keep making more money, grow it, scale it, which they should be. It's great. But they're leaving a lot of money on the table because they never take a step back and say, all right, could I be doing this better? When they come to us, we want to implement a ton of strategies, and it takes time. You got to have a conversation with us. We got to go through your tax return. We got to implement some strategies. But once we do it once, we're doing that same thing next year and the next year and the next year. And this could be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax savings. Once we get the structure right, it's built. It's not that hard anymore. We're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, but it takes a little bit of time and investment to get it architected on the front end.
Well, it's like any kind of investment. You got to put some time into the basic structures, and it's the compound effect of these changes, revisions that stack over the years. And yes, over a period of 5, 10 years, measurable difference. I mean, very measurable difference that you can make. And you've obviously seen it through your client work with your clients. Sure. hundreds of thousands of times.
Yeah.
That's the fun part, right? I mean, the fun part is,
Yeah.
I always feel, your energy and Mark's as well is, the satisfaction that anybody gets that's helping solve problems for people is, the transformations it can make in their lives in so many different aspects, right? Because again, going back to what is wealth? Well, yeah, having enough money to have peace of mind in life to let you do what you really want to do. To me, that's what wealth's all about. But you've got to get there, learn how to preserve it, maintain it, to have that peace of mind, to know that you can do the things you really want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where we like helping clients and just being a part of that journey with them, whether it's in our law firm, providing those services and that advice to save on the taxes, make sure they're maximizing their asset protection, preserving their estate for their loved ones when they pass on, but also using one of the most underutilized tools, which we think about, which is the self-directed IRA account at Directed IRA, where you can use your IRA 401k retirement account funds to invest in real estate and these other alternative assets. And that can be a way to build wealth faster and to have more a retirement account that's larger when you hit that 59 and a half plus age when you can draw on it. So you have a retirement you're looking forward to. That's what we love. It's kind of fun. It's a great business, right? Because we really can help people and help them reach their goals and just be a part of that journey with them.
Fantastic. So best way for people to connect with Directed IRA, to you, Mark, and the team?
Yeah, just get over to directedira.com. You can hit book a call right on the homepage. You can schedule a call with our team. I believe we have a discount code, actually, Freedom 150. Saves you $150. There you go. Freedom 150.
Excellent. I like it.
So,
I like it.
Yeah. And then for KKOS Lawyers and even legal or tax planning services, get over to KKOSlawyers.com. Same thing. Book a call with the team right there. Talk to one of our client advisors who can go over our services and get you booked with one of our attorneys.
Fantastic. Matt, thanks so much for your time today. I think your insights, your experience, there's a lot there for people to take in. And I just think, coming back to what we both agreed, is really, it's the people we know in life that can help give us the inspiration and the aspiration to create the life we want. We don't see anybody who's ever done it, and we just live in a little cave world. We never know. So exposing yourself to who else is doing things differently, having an open mindset. We live in the greatest country ever. I don't care what people think about the politics. There's always opportunity. I think people just need to get out of their shell sometimes and say, what else is out there? Where am I missing that I could take and do better for myself and my family and whatever matters to them?
Yeah, I'd agree with that wholeheartedly. And thanks so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it. And thanks so much for speaking at our alternative assets. And we got to have you back, of course, again. Yeah, reach out to us if we can be a resource for you. And it's been a pleasure being on, David.
Thank you, Matt. To further help you decide whether to keep or move your money out of your 401k or self-direct your retirement accounts, I want to speak from my own experience. In my experience, the question would be, what kinds of people should keep investing in a 401k and which should not? Similarly, who should just keep plugging away at their IRAs or 401k and not self-direct? So there's multiple questions there. Inherently, having a 401k or an IRA where a person, couple, is committed to the discipline of putting money in that qualified account. Again, IRA, 401k, I'm going to make them similar here. I think there's a discipline to doing that, to keeping the discretionary money available to put into an investment account. In this case, it actually becomes like a lockbox. That's the side of 401ks and IRAs that I don't like. They're a lockbox. Once you put money in, you can't take it back out again or any of the profits until you're 59 and a half or older without paying both the tax on those contributions and on the profit, and also a penalty, a 10% penalty. So there's the good and the bad. If a person lacks discipline in their life, or as a couple are just getting started in life and they want to develop a discipline, then I don't have a problem with basic IRAs or 401ks to a point. For those who really want to be on their own path to freedom, autonomy, sovereignty, I believe, my own personal experience and being a part of many other cohorts and groups and watching different people take the different pathways, if you're one, and I'll state again and repeat myself, if you are one who is on the forefront, has the time, the capacity, the desire to be more in charge of, more in control of your finances and your investments, then I believe one can do better without playing the tax-deferred game, which is what qualified retirement accounts are all about. They're sold to the masses because they're tax-deferred. You get a tax deduction when you put money into an IRA, a traditional IRA, or a 401k. you get a tax deferral, a deduction. It's not a tax mitigation. It's not a tax savings. It's a deferral. I think there's problems with deferral because I think deferral is going to come back and haunt a lot of people when they start to take money out of those qualified accounts after 59 and a half. I believe that the tax rates have to be higher because of the spending deficits and sovereign debt that this country has accumulated over many years and will continue to accumulate. I would be careful with tax deferral. The compounding effect, that's a benefit, but I think the tax deferral and the cost of the tax payment on the backside will not be good. Now, let's say you have a qualified account, IRA, 401k, and you've been putting money into it diligently, and you've built it up, and it's had some profit building up. No problem. You can still take control of that. I don't mean take the money out to use it, but I mean you can self-direct it, as the conversation I had with Matt today about using self-directed custodians to be the custodian of your qualified accounts. And then you now have the privilege or the wherewithal to direct your investments, not just on Wall Street, the traditional financial model or traditional financial products. You can also decide you want to direct your investment accounts into alternative investments, such as real estate, such as precious metals, such as commodities. The list is wide open and you get to choose. So you can have a little bit of both. Again, I am not downplaying a place for 401ks, qualified accounts. If you have those, great. But if you want to really be on the forefront of driving your own capital forward, most people I know have left those behind. In other words, stopped contributing to them some years ago and are really driving their capital forward. But you've got to be in the right place, have the access, the connections, the education, and the network to make that happen. So it's really dependent upon who someone is, where they are, what their mindset is. The last part of my conversation with Matt was about connection and relationships and exploring beyond our current profession or stage of life. These connections and relationships in my own life have been the catalyst in several stages of my life to creating success, pursuing my next, finding fulfillment and purpose, and really creating my freedom, options, choices in the way I wanted to live my life. The question that has often been asked is, what was the first connection or relationship that I made that got me excited for more than just a 9-to-5 job or a practice profession? I would say a number of connections prompted me toward that. When I was in high school, I, like many of us, worked odd jobs to make money because I wanted to have my own money so I can buy the things I wanted that my parents wouldn't give me. One of the jobs I had was with an engineer, a community friend of the family, who was a great mentor, loved what he did. He had a lot of capabilities, and because of his capabilities in engineering, he had a lot of trade skills. I got to work alongside him, kind of be the gopher, learn underneath him to see how he saw the world. And what I saw from him was an ability to pivot and iterate. With his skill sets and knowledge, he wasn't stuck in one place, one job, one profession, one arena. And I watched him over the years, and this mentor is still alive today. He's in his 80s. I started working with him when I was in my latter part of my teens, and he must have been in his early 30s, I would guess. So this is a relationship of over 50 years, and I still stay connected with him and his wife. And I realized over the years how much that early sense of seeing skill sets that could be adaptable to different seasons of life. And I always admired that, because in the profession I went into, which was dentistry, yeah, it's a great skill. It's a great profession, no question about it. But outside of that skill set, if I don't have other skills, where do I go if something happens to my hands? I've got a disability. I'm pretty much cornered unless I go back to school or learn some skill sets. Why not develop those along the way? That would be a key element that I would put into place. Other relationships that helped me along the way were because I was always curious about, in many cases, how investments worked, how money worked. And I sought those people out early on. In real estate was the pathway that got me to thinking about Plan B and having assets out of my skill set, my hands, my practice to build wealth in those multiple income streams. And I had to find the right people and mentors who showed me a whole nother world beyond my very focal point of, again, doing great work, but with all of my income, my net worth tied to what I did. That's a dangerous place to be in many capacities. You want to have other streams of income, other assets, and your other skill sets that can allow you to pivot and make changes. And those are the people I sought out. And even today, those are the people I most admire because they've shown their resiliency. And I think resiliency is going to be a key word for the years and decades ahead, no matter what stage one is in their own life. As far as a commonality in the connections that I would say uplifted me and always gave me what I call the light at the end of the tunnel. I was never going to be in one place. I was never going to be stuck, no matter what happened in the economy, no matter what happened to the profession. Even if something happened to my physical ability to deliver services, I realized early on I was developing both the mindset and the skill sets to be adaptable. And that paid off for me. That paid off for me in spades some 20 years ago when I did leave the profession of dentistry, not because I had to, not because I wanted to, but because my daughter had been very, very sick for a number of years. And I just decided, gave myself permission to step away from the golden handcuffs of being a high income earner. And I built up over the years, because of my outside interests in real estate and tangible assets, had built up enough of a portfolio to provide the replacement income that allowed me to step away from the practice, which I thought would be part-time. In other words, I would leave for a period of months, maybe a year and a half, where I could spend time with my daughter because time was more important to me than making money. But I still had to be responsible for my family and my daughter. But I had the assets outside of the practice, outside of my skill set, outside of my trading time for dollars that allowed me to take that time, and I'll never regret that. Now, I never went back to dentistry, not because I couldn't. I still could today, I suppose, with some additional CE courses to get me up to speed. But I found an elevation or an involvement in my life that, again, allowed me to use many of the skill sets I learned, not through formal academic instruction, but through the connections and the people that I purposely, intentionally put myself around outside of my primary profession that really drew me in and gave me, again, the permission, the skills, the perseverance to never say there's not an answer. There's always an answer, but you've got to be connected to other people, other networks, other communities, to collaborate and inspire you, even in times when you feel like you're in down that deep hole that life will put us in from time to time, where we feel like life's not fair. How did I get here? How do I get out? As long as you're alive and breathing, there's a way to get out, but you just can't pretend that you can do it by yourself, even though we think we can. Don't do it alone. Life should not be a solo journey. And that's what I learned early in my life. And I stand by that conviction to this very day. If you like this conversation, click that subscribe or follow button. It lets us know what you want to hear more of and pushes this episode out to more people. One more thing. One of the greatest joys in my life right now is helping others take control of their lives in every aspect and watching them reshape their lives. Most believe in order to do this, you must first achieve financial freedom. And yes, it's incredibly helpful once you no longer have to work for your income for yourself. However, you can start making progress on your freedoms and your desired life today. Yes, achieving such a life requires getting your finances in order and replacing your income little by little, but it also requires mindset shifts, working with your spouse or significant other, having the hard conversations, getting educated, and creating the relationships that will help you along the way. These are all keys that I found in my life, and I want you to have the same thing. If you're ready to take action and take control of your life today, then my team would love to discuss how we can help you. Go to freedomfounders.com/discover to schedule your call. That's freedomfounders.com/discover. I hope to hear from you soon.